I have in front of you humans the top 57 Pokemons that were used in Gen 3 OU in the month of January. That's last month, in case you guys do not understand how a calendar works. So it's ordered from most popular to least popular. This isn't how good they are, their win rate, nothing. This is just how much they were used. So number one is, as the kids say, the meta-defining Giga Chad Tyranitar Mr. Ice. I show up and go for Sandstream. That's my favorite move. Some say Tyranitar is a jack of all, master of none. I would say you are incorrect. Nobody else can set up a permanent Sandstorm, not even Groudon, who literally comes out of a volcano. He's not doing it. Tyranitar is always number one in these lists. And you know who's always number two, and who's always number three, and who's always number four? Those guys right there. Metagross, Swampert, and Skarmory in that order. I still never agree with the order. I think it should be more like, you know, something like that. Give or take. But yeah, that's how it is. Skarmory, primary, Spike, Cringe Lord. This guy, nobody has a worse matchup on this website versus Metagross as David does. That thing, it's either going to one-shot me with Meteor Mash or Explosion. There are no in-betweens. And then you have Swampert, who I swear can fit on every single team. Curse, Breast, Focus Punch. You could have a bunch of offensive moves. You could be Toxic, Cringe, Protect, Refresh. That one's actually pretty good. This Pokemon by itself is the reason why humans have to run a Hidden Power Grass on their Salamences, their Gengars, Zapdos. Celebi is more relevant now because of Swampert. He only has one weakness, which is Grass. Okay? So, and Grass, in Generation 3 at least, was one of the weaker offensive types. But it has to be relevant to literally stop this monster. So far we had Tyranitar at 47% usage. It was on 47% of teams. And then Metagross, Swampert, Skarmory were somewhere from 46 to 30. Now we got 30 to 25. And this was almost the same as last month as well. Last month it was actually like this. Gengar was the 5th most popular Pokemon. But now people, I don't even know. Like, I actually think the most common Salamence that I see is mixed. Which is interesting, because I think the Dragon Dance one is scarier, but I guess the mixed one is probably easier to fit on a team. Plus, you know, it's got Hidden Power Grass for that guy. It's got Fire Mist for these two guys. It's got Brick Break for that guy. And for this person right here, who is an abomination to this format, you have a nice, strong Dragon Claw for Gengar and a bunch of other Pokemons, right? Just nice to have neutral coverage. Gengar, very flexible Pokemon. This guy can learn almost anything in the book. It's kind of like another Tyranitar, just doesn't set up Sandstorm. Me personally, I like the ones that are just like Ice Punch, Fire Punch, HP Grass, last Giga Drain, Explosion. David, not the biggest fan of Hypnosis and Will-O-Wisp. Taunt's pretty good. Taunt, if you set up spikes and sand, you've got a Gengar that, you know, they're going to want to switch into Blissey. You can just taunt that thing and kind of ruin its day because it can't heal. And then, you know, it would have to switch out and back in. Blissey doesn't like to switch out until it's fully healed. So if you can taunt it, put it in its place, you know what I mean? After it took 3 layers of spikes and sand, chip it down a little bit. When it comes back in, you could probably kill it. So taunt Gengar is also really good. Oh, Thunderbolt. I forgot Gengar learns Thunderbolt. That's also cash. Oh, we can't forget the most important move on Gengar is Focus Punch. And then we have Blissey, who I'm not going to talk about. Then we have 25 to 20% usage. Celebi, Zapdos, Snorlax, and Suicune. Last month it looked like this as well, but it was a little switcheroo right there. Suicune was ahead of Snorlax, but now people, the Snorlax believers are rising up. And at the time of me recording this video, I actually have used Snorlax a bit, and it's pretty good. Although I do think you're going to need some help for this guy. I think in the right conditions, that might be the scariest person to fight. But it's kind of tricky if you're not good at the game like David to make those conditions be met. You don't really like sand. You don't really like spikes too much. You got to get rid of the phasers, you know. Leech Seed from this thing right here. Oh, Celebi. Oh, this, it's one of the most annoying Pokemons for David. I would say number one's Blissey, number two Aerodactyl, and then Celebi and Milotic are around the same level. I think the only reason why I hate Celebi so much, as sad as it is just because of Leech Seed. If it didn't have that move, I would not care. It's just, it doesn't matter unless you have your own grass Pokemon, which the only relevant ones are Celebi and Breloom. You're probably gonna get Leech Seed, and then it sucks you away. I want to suck your blood, you know. It's just, I can't. It's so triggering. And then you got Zapdos, who admittedly I underestimated for a while because I hate Blissey. I don't know if you guys knew that. But it's a lot better than I thought. I've also been using a Zapdos here. I tried one with Baton Pass and sub, and I can see why everyone's leading with that damn thing. It is so annoying. And then, you know, Thunderbolt HP Grass, that's pretty good coverage. Oh, no. The scariest one, which I think at the time of me uploading this, you guys haven't seen yet, but I'm coming to the realization, I think the scariest kind of Zapdos are those really like, just eating up every single attack. Like, and they're usually specially defensive. It's just the tanky Zapdos that have rest. And because those guys will usually have this pink blob right here aromatherapying them back to, you know, they exit the unconscious realm of sleep and back into reality, and they start roaring, toxic, T-waving, all this nonsense. You can't kill it even with the sand up. It doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, I've learned Blissey and Zapdos are actually very good friends with one another. And then you have Snorlax, who, like I said, I've been using a bit. I actually tried using Return over Byslam. If you use an offensive Snorlax with a lot of attack investment and you just curse up once, dude, unless the opponent has a Skarmory or Metagross or something like that, in which case you could have an Earthquake for. Yeah, it's particularly just Skarmory. Dude, you can cause so much pain and agony with Snorlax. I think another good friend of Snorlax is Magneton. You just get rid of Skarmory, and look at this list. Not too many people like Snorlax. You can curse up and live like an explosion from some of these weaker guys down here. Not Metagross, though. Metagross will kill you no matter what, because it's, you know, that's just what Metagross do. And then Suicune here. These two, I swear, they function the same way. They're both kind of slow. They're both very tanky. They both don't have that many weaknesses. It's just this one's a physical attacker and this one's a special attacker. Go ahead, pick your favorite. The next row, we got 20 to 15% usage rate. Doug Trio. Aeroschmackle, Magneton, Starmie. So the two trappers are here. And then we have one of David's most hated Pokemon here as well. And then Starmie. Starmie, I'll just go from left to right. Doug Trio, pretty straightforward. This thing, I realize this thing, not only is it just good for being a really good revenge killer, they can basically function really good on stall teams, which I hate fighting, and weather clear teams, which I'm not really the biggest fan of. Weather clear is fine. It's just I like to have sand up usually because I don't like the battle taking forever. Well, Doug Trio, despite it being sand immune, it is not afraid to unalive Tyranitar and then have some teammate clear the weather because they probably have a Blissey. Yeah, that's, oh my god. Blissey, I swear, is best friends with everybody. And then Aerodactyl. I don't even need to say too much about Aerodactyl. I don't want this video to take too damn long. You understand what to do. You put Aerodactyl on your team, right? You give that guy speed and some attack. The item surprised me. Either the Lychee Berry or a Choice Band. Dude, I've seen some of you savage animals out there with a white herb. I know what you're doing. I've seen that one. And then you go to the moves, right, on Aerodactyl on the team builder, and you put Rock Slide, and that's it. That's all you need to have on Aerodactyl. The other three can be empty. Magneton's good for killing Skarmory. Starmie rhymes with Skarmory. And Starmie is sort of like Gengar because it's a very good special attacker, but you can't... To me, I find myself gravitating more towards physical attacks in Gen 3 versus special. Special's good. It's just Blissey, right? Yeah, you got to consider that. That's an unkillable Pokemon. So, but I will say offensive Starmie, very good for Superman teams, which I also hate fighting. I hate, like, fighting... No, it's regular Superman teams, it's fine. It's those stolly defensive ones that make me mad. But Starmie's pretty good for those. But then you don't even have to do that. You can use a defensive Starmie, which on paper, it's kind of shocking that Starmie is this good defensively, but it is. Even though it's weak to sand and spikes, you literally just need Surf, Thunderwave, Rapid Spin, Recover. This thing does not die. It doesn't die. And I hate you. I do. Now, moving on to the next tier from 15 to 10%, we've got Clay Dumb, Mr. Underrated, and then we have Not As Good Skarmory. So we'll start with Clay Dumb. Clay Dumb is immune to sand and spikes. It's hella tanky. I was streaming like a few days ago some Gen 3 random battles. And maybe it wasn't that stream, but I was streaming, right? And one of my viewers taught me something evil. Did you guys know that Claydol can learn cosmic power? So do with that information what you will. But it gets rest. It can have refresh. It has rapid spin. That's why. If you see Claydol, it's going to have rapid spin, I promise. And, of course, it's a bomb. Okay? It's not a pie. It was made in a bomb factory. It's a bomb. Then you got Mr. Underrated. This thing is, as I call it sometimes, Sandstorm Blissey, because it just wish and protects and toxics and spreads basically status conditions. There's two kinds of Jirachis. The scary ones and the really cringe dishonorable ones. I'm talking about the dishonorable one right now. Fire Punch, Toxic, Body Slam. Some of these lunatics, dude, some of you guys need to be locked up. You're using Thunder on Jirachi to spread paralysis. Paralysis, not paralysis. That's not a word. You're trying to spread paralysis with Thunder. If you're going to use Thunder, why not just have like Calm Mind and then I don't know. It's a very versatile Pokemon. You can have they say Jirachi's got 4 move slot syndrome. Dude, every Pokemon's got 4 move slot syndrome, okay? So don't even believe that. And then there's the really scary one. You got the sub Calm Mind one. That one can actually 1v1 Blissey, potentially. And then me, I would just have like Psychic and Thunderbolt. You can have HP Grass for a certain number 3 most popular Pokemon in the format. You know, Fire Punch, Burn, Ice Punch. You know, you can outplay the opponent by, freezing them 1 out of 5 times. And then we got Fortress. I think I used Fortress a lot more in January myself with the... I believe it's called M Dragon. That's their name. That team where it's like a Pursuit Tar. Fortress. If you have Fortress, I'm not saying you need a Pursuit Tar or a Houndoom. I'm just saying you kind of need one because that guy gets ruined by Gengar. So if you can just send in a Tyranitar to eliminate that guy, you know what I mean? It's like rock, paper, scissors. So yeah. Oh, that guy's a bomb too. And they have Rapid Spin. What's the other thing? Oh, and they set up spikes. I don't even know why I'm saying this. Everybody already knew that. Moving on. Now we're moving on to the 10 to 5% usage tier. If this was like, cool and hip and Gen 9 and new and fresh, this would basically be the cutoff point right before you start falling a tier to UU, right? But it doesn't work like that in the older gens. But anyway, we've got first up Jolteon, speed ties with Aerodactyl, but you know what? It doesn't tie with spikes and sand. It just gets chipped down by them all the time. So, and then you got to worry about Blissey. Heracross went up a bit. I like Heracross. Heracross is insanely scary. That guy is usually on like the blue offense teams and weather clear teams. That guy would be pretty good friends with Doug Trio. Obviously, you catch and eliminate Tyranitar. Clear the weather, and then you got like some sub Salac and Dura reversal. There's so much pain and agony. You could just run a choice band on Heracross. Very strong wall breaker. Then Charizard. Dude, look at the gap between Charizard and Moltres. That gap, I'm pretty sure, has gotten bigger over the past few months. And I kind of agree with that. I do like Charizard more than Moltres. Charizard... if it's the best one, but it's one of the best mixed attackers. It's kind of like an anti-meta Pokemon. You got like Brick Break, or you could have Sub Focus Punch to one-shot Tyranitar. You can do the same thing with Blissey, although you won't be one-shotting it. But Charizard also gets beat up, which, you'll be hurting Blissey with that. Flamethrower slash Fire Blast, that eliminates Skarmory and Metagross up there. HP Grass for Swampert. You can have Dragon Claw for Salamence. Fire's going to hurt Gengar. Fire's going to hurt Celebi. And then you start kind of falling off in terms of scariness around that. But it actually has a pretty good matchup chart against the most... I'm not saying those are the best Pokemon, but those are the most popular Pokemon. So, yeah. I don't think it's underrated. I think it's pretty properly rated. But, yeah. Watch out for Charizard. Like, you'll have a team, and, like, the moment you see Charizard, you're going to look down at your team and be like, oh, I don't have any switch-ins. That happens to me all the time. Then you got Flygon. This thing, to me, is only really concerning when it's, like, a defensive one on a defensive Superman thing, where it's just like Toxic, Sub, Protect, Earthquake, Rock Slide, Aromatherapy on your Blissey because I'm going to try and poison slash burn your Flygon to get some damage on it, and then it's just going to get healed up anyway by Blissey. It's very annoying. Sometimes it's Articuno as well. Flygon's pretty good with friends with Articuno because Articuno is weak to Steel, Fire, and Rock. Usually Fire and Rock are the most common ones. You know, resists Fire and Rock, Flygon. And they're both immune to Spike, so they work pretty well. Medicham is 3 spots behind Heracross. Medicham is a pretty scary lead, though. Like, if you've seen my videos, you know, I'm always... God, it gives me the shivers, the heebie-jeebies every time I see that guy. It's like a guessing game, especially if it's like banded. Sometimes it's not even banded. It'll have like a Lumberry. It could have a Lumberry, and then you'll lead with like Tyranitar, and then you'll send in Gengar on the Brick Break. Oh, I'm safe, bro. And then you click Will-O-Wisp, and then you miss anyway, and then they kill you with Shadow Ball. But in case it actually connected, they got the Lumberry, and then you die. It sucks. Breloom is a sneaky guy. I think it's kind of like Charizard. I don't think it's like underrated or overrated. I think it's right about there. Because it is kind of slow, but, you know, there's also a lot of other slower Pokemon. So this guy can kind of, earlier on in the game, before people started getting status, he can kind of debilitate you by just knocking somebody out, essentially, with Spore. And then Sub, and then punching you in the face. They can be a nuisance with Leech Seed. Sometimes they have Stun Spore, too. So that's when I find it to be pretty good. I think the best way I've seen it is not even a lead Breloom, but a lead Zapdos who baton passes to see what you're going to do, and then they see if it's safe enough to bring in the Breloom, and then they start causing the pain. Because sometimes you have a lead that's actually good against Breloom. Like, you could have a Skarmory with Drill Peck, you could have a Medicham, whatever. Gyarados. It's kind of like Salamence. I was kind of fascinated to find out that Gyarados has a very high special defense stat, but the main difference is you kind of sidestep the quad ice weakness for a quad electric one, and then you have Taunt and Thunder Wave. I would say those are the biggest differences between the two. Gyarados is a bit more. It's got better utility, but the moves I don't think are quite as good. You both have HP Flying, but Salamence has Rock Slide, which is like one of the most infuriating things I've ever been created by Game Freak. Gyarados doesn't get it. So you would have to go for HP Rock, and therefore if you have HP Rock, you have to forego HP Flying. It's kind of awkward. You would have like HP Rock and Earthquake, so you don't even have any stab. Whatever. Anyway, we have probably the most interesting spot on this month's popularity rankings, which is Registeel. Registeel from last month literally went up like a whole entire percentage point. It's actually one of the... Yeah, I think in terms of usage, it climbed the most. There's only like a couple other Pokemon that went up like 1%. Like, I think Snorlax did too. However, relatively speaking, because, you know, I don't know if you're good at math or not, but relatively speaking, Registeel, I do believe out of everyone in Gen 3 went up the most. And look, I'm just one guy, but I'm going to say I had a hand in it. I did. I absolutely did. I had the humans watch David, and they thought that the Taco Bell team was cool or whatever, so they started using it. And me personally, I liked Registeel a lot. You just... I mean, you don't have to do this, but I was just blowing everybody up, and then you just end with Registeel, and Registeel can be very scary if it's got Curse, Amnesia, HP Steel. Somebody was saying that you should run Return on it, which I guess you could do, but you better make sure that their Gengar's dead. And then Rest, obviously, so you don't have to worry about Sandstorm. Yeah. That guy is you know how, like I was saying, Jiraiya's like Sandstorm Blissey. This guy's like Sandstorm Snorlax. And you don't even have to run the Curse Amnesia one. You can just have like a much simpler one where it's like Thunder Wave, counter, seismic toss, explosion. Boom, simple, right? Registeel can fulfill that role, no problem. So notice how it's literally ahead of some OU Pokemon here, which I find to be interesting. Like, if you just looked at this for the first time, you're new to Gen 3, you would literally think Registeel is OU. It's not. It's not. It's UUBL. Moving on to 5 to 3% usage rate. This is basically what I would consider to be like the top of UUBL, right? Because like I said, in newer generations, if you fall below like 4% or whatever, you start to go UU. But as you can see here, in this tier, there's 3 OU Pokemon and 4 UUBL. So this is a weird gray area where we're entering the Shadow Realm. And at the top is Raikou, who was not the most popular UUBL Pokemon as it usually is. A lot of people do believe Raikou is number 1. I used to be one of those guys until I took out Registeel for a Taco Bell spin in the drive-thru, and it was pretty fun. Yeah, Raikou fast, Calm Minder, kills everybody, but they get obliterated by Dugtrio. Not a good time. Milotic is next, which nobody can agree with how to pronounce this thing's name. But I was very surprised that it was this low. Like, I don't think it's a godlike Pokemon or nothing, but like, I don't know. Like, we're falling into BL territory, and this thing is a good mixed wall, and it just recovers and refreshes. It's insanely infuriating to fight. Moltres is next, which doesn't really surprise me. Milotic and Moltres, their usage went down a little bit. Nothing crazy, probably like about a 0.5% point. It's just, I kind of agree with it with Moltres because they're immune to spikes, which is cool, but I mean, you got a 4 times rock weakness, which I don't know if you've ever seen a Dragon Dance Tyranitar matchup chart before in your life, but this would be the channel to talk about that. And yeah, Moltres doesn't do good against these rocks, so you know, you got this Aerodactyl guy running around, Tyranitar, you got these water types, and you can't even really heal. You're awkwardly slower than the 100 speed benchmark. Morning Sun sounds cool until you realize there's a sandstorm up 24/7 in Gen 3. So it's kind of trickier to use Moltres. It's got Will-O-Wisp, you can roar. That's kind of why you'd be using it. So you pretty much see this on like TSS teams. Yeah, Superman teams. Then Regice, which Regice's usage also went up a little bit. That's also probably because of me. Oh, spoiler alerts. Look who's at the top of the next year, Regirock. Huh, I wonder why. I joke. It wasn't all because of me. But I did have a hand in it. So Regice is next. Regice is basically Blissey, but not insanely cringe, and it's weak to sand and spikes. It doesn't have insanely disgusting recovery. Although, this didn't happen to me last month, but I will say, once upon a time, I was setting up with Suicune. They sent in a Regice. They went for Psych Up. Kingdra, Rain. Very, like, if you hate Tyranitar, this is a good Pokemon to throw in your team. You eliminate with Dugtrio. You could have a big happy family here. You eliminate Tyranitar with Dugtrio, then Blissey runs wild. I mean, it was going to run wild no matter what. And then it's going to be worse now that you've cleared the weather. And then you got Kingdra to enable it. So it's a whole domino effect, okay? Houndoom. I one time said I've never used Houndoom, and I'm sorry, because somebody pointed that out, and I did lie. I actually did use it on my Halloween team. Yeah, it's cool. You got Pursuit. Although I kind of like Tyranitar, because, you know, I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, set up the sand, and then Pursuing, but you could use Houndoom, too. Dark and Fire is good typing. It's very good typing, as we all know from Incineroar. Incineroar was so good they put him in Smash Bros. And then you have Cloyster, who I swear it seems like it gets worse every time I do these kinds of videos. Now it's well, I don't know. I guess it didn't really move much, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5 BL Pokemon ahead of you. And Milotic is trying to copy Cloyster. It's now falling down into BL. Even Gyarados is kind of following the fish's footsteps. It's weird. Cloyster Renaissance right now. Or no, it'd be an anti-Renaissance, but I don't think that's a real word. Yeah. The humans think, why use Cloyster when you just have Fortress right here? This guy is weak to sand spikes. And you got Explosion. Got Rapid Spin too, but you're weak to Sand. But you do have that cool Stab, Surf, Ice Beam. In my opinion, I don't even really know what else you would need it for. I don't even know how to slap it on a team. But then again, I don't even know how to build a team, as we all know from my encounters with Blaziken. I literally think Cloyster would probably lose to Blaziken too. Well, I don't know. No, I think it could beat Blaziken. If Blaziken went for Endure turn 1, you went for Surf. I think you could live a reversal because you have a million defense. But what if your Cloyster went for Explosion and the Blaziken went for Endure? Well, then you lost the matchup. And now we are, in fact, fading into obscurity, the Shadow Realm, BL territory, if you will. The not cool kids table. You can't sit with us, bro. And I gotta say, the first 3 here are absolute chads. Regirock, I really like Regirock. Hariyama, I don't use it too much, but I like Hariyama because it's carrying Knockoff, and Knockoff is... I don't think people think about this, but Knockoff is one of the best moves in the game, easily. It's just the Pokemon using it, which is, you know, this guy, Armaldo, Alakazam. Yeah, I don't think anybody in OU even learns Knockoff, so... Yeah, but the move is so good, and that's why I guess it kind of makes it balanced. This is before Knockoff was insanely broken. And then you have Blaziken, who... I one time read like a college thesis statement in my comments about why somebody really hated Blaziken and why it sucks. Look, dude, I'm just saying that this thing's the boogeyman for me. So do with that information what you will. It's kind of like Heracross, you know. You can sub, Slack, whatever, reversal. Blaziken can actually be potentially even scary because he'll have a Blaze boosted Fire Blast. So it is kind of awkwardly slow. It's the same speed as Medicham. So it doesn't really work that much. It's my kryptonite, okay? I'm just saying, I don't think it's really good. It's just, if you wanted to beat me and there was money on the line, you ran into me in the bracket in this tournament, that's may or may not be coming up that I don't even know about. If you see me, just bring Blaziken. You'll do fine. I got 6-0 by this thing multiple times. Then Smeargle. Smeargle is kind of evil. Oh, it's another normal type that's kind of evil. Oh, that's just Walmart Blissey. Smeargle... I think, yeah, try Spore Sub Knockoff Leech Seed. Thank me later. Vaporeon, Water Absorb, right? You can, I guess you can kind of wall a Suicune. You know, with Suicune being one of the best boost sweepers. Ludicolo! Ludicolo! Oh, Los Manos. Every time I see Dusclops, I just think of the hands. Like, somebody posted a gif of Dusclops in the Discord. It's just him, like, with his hands, and I can't get that out of my head. Like, he's got big hands proportionally. And that's all I have to say about Dusclops. Umbreon is pain. It looks so cool. It's a wonderful 10 out of 10 design Pokemon. I hate the way it plays. Alakazam, I gotta be careful. I don't want to call these guys underrated if it's not true, but I have ran into a few Alakazams that kind of gave me some issues because Alakazam, you would think like Calm Mind, Psychic, all that good stuff, which it can do because it's pretty fast. It speed ties with Doug Trio. But this guy also gets Encore and Knockoff. So you can, like, if you run into like an enemy Suicune, for example, or Snorlax, who are pretty scary, you just Encore them. GG's. Like, it's that simple. You can even bring like knockoff. Like I ran into it a few times. It gave me some issues. Machamp. Me, I'm more of a Hariyama guy. Oh man, the more I'm looking at this, I think of when I ran the mono fighting team. Bad memories. Why didn't it? Dude, I should have had a Blaziken on that team. Now that I'm thinking about it, I had Hitmontop on that team, but not Blaziken. Huh. And then you got Venusaur. This thing can actually be really annoying. And, oh, perfect. It's right next to Sceptile. I was going to bring up Sceptile, too. These guys work kind of a little bit differently. But basically, they're sub-leech seeders. So they're kind of like... Well, I guess Celebi could do it, too. I think Breloom can be the peskiest. Well, actually, sometimes it's these two. Because this guy's kind of tanky, but he can put you to sleep. But he's tankier than Breloom, a little bit faster, too. And then he has some other attacking moves. But Sceptile... is very fast. He speed ties without Kazam. So you could just sub and then Leech Seed for all eternity, and then has a decent special attacking stat. So I don't know how I feel too much about those two guys. I just know that they can be kind of difficult. Dragonite, Walmart Salamence with Heal Bell. I did get crushed by this thing in a random battle, though. Scizor, as I used to say when I was younger, Caesar. But I guess it's Scizor. I definitely don't call it Scissor. That's just weird. Sub Slack Reversal, immune to the sand. So it's like it's like Heracross, but it's not like Heracross. But isn't that cool? They're both Gen 2 bug Pokemon, man. Yeah, I don't think it's cool either. Jinx. Oh god, that thing annoys me too. That thing, it's not like fast. It's a little bit slower than. It's faster than Moltres, but slower than Zapdos. So it's kind of fast, and the lovely kiss, and I don't know how, but that thing always freezes me. Oh, that's a decent lead right there. I don't know. I just have the worst luck against. I don't even think it's that good. And then you could have Perish Trap with your Jinx. So you could. I've even seen some people. They'll use mean look Perish Song, and if they can't get the job done like that, they bring in their Doug Trio next, and then just sub. Because, they arena trap them, and then they sub with Doug Trio, and then they just die. So that's kind of a diabolical thing that I ran into a few times. Wheezing. I don't know what to say about Wheezing. I don't really ever see that guy. Steelix is pretty good friends with Gyarados. They have a pretty good offensive, defensive core going on. Blastoise. Me, personally, I would not run Blastoise. I would actually rather run Donphan at this point. Donphan, if you set up with like Dragon Dance Tyranitar, this is one of the few, it was in the matchup chart. This is one of the few things that can actually stop that guy. And Aerodactyl. Donphan has a lot of defense. So it's actually one of the best rock resists. It's up there with like Swampert and Flygon. But this guy is not too fast. They're weak to spikes, but they do have rapid spin. So something to consider. I don't even really know how to use this thing, but I do like the idea. And it's immune to sand, obviously. Slacking is a Giga Chad. There's like a bug. I think this happens in OU too. I was doing random battles in a stream, and I saw Slacking. The scary thing with Slacking is, I don't know if one of you guys understands this or not, but there's for sure a bug or something going on. Because I've seen Slacking come in one of the replays in my Discord, and it happened in my live stream. It'll show up, turn one, and start loafing around. I don't know why it does that. So because of that, I'm staying away from using Slacking. I do think it has a lot of potential, but until somebody can explain to me why he's doing that, I'm not touching that thing with a 3-yard stick, which would be 9 feet, which is pretty long. Glalie, it's a lead. Spikes, boom, taunt, ice beam, gets the job done. Terrible stats. I think it has base 80 across the board. It's like super Walmart, Jirachi, and Celebi. Armaldo, I thought this thing wasn't that good, but it can be pretty good for Snorlax. You can have Harden, as dumb as that sounds. You can, you go for knockoff, Seismic Toss, whatever, Rock Slide, HP Bug. It's the knockoff is the main thing. It's one of the best knockoff users. And then Marowak is the final Pokemon. Marowak is number 57. You give this guy a thick club. Notice how I don't see Ninjask anywhere here. I wonder why. But yeah, Marowak is still decent. It's not like disgusting like it was before. But with a thick club, it just hits insanely hard. And it's got Stabber, Focus Punch for like Skarmories or whatever, Rock Slide. Pretty straightforward. Its biggest weakness is this guy is insanely slow, and it's not very tanky either. Yeah. Okay, so it's a little zoomed out right now, but that's all the top 57 Pokemans. My thoughts on it? Kind of stuff I expected. I think literally the biggest surprise to me was Registeel. I think the Registeel believers are rising up after they saw the power of Taco Bell. So let me know what you guys think. Who's overrated? Who's underrated? Will Tyranitar ever not be number one? Just kidding. That's a trick question. The answer is fish. Take care.